Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Adam Schubert. I am your moderator this evening for today's webinar on social media design with Canva 101, being presented by Harley Simon, and being brought to you today by SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties. For those of you not familiar with SCORE, SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration, has been around since 1964, and our mission is to support small and startup businesses through mentoring and education programs such as tonight's webinar. In Chester and Delaware County, we have about 100 volunteers who are here to help you. At the end of today's webinar, I'll provide information on how you can request a mentor who, again, available at no cost to you. Some rules of engagement for tonight's program. This presentation is being recorded and will be made available to you in a follow-up email after today's session. All listeners have been placed on mute to avoid any distractions. If you have any questions for Carly, please put them in the Q&A box. We will stop for questions at a few points during the presentation and again at the end as time permits. Any comments or references that you'd like to share with all the attendees, please place those in the chat box. And we are about to begin, but I'm very pleased to introduce our presenter this evening, Carly Simon. Carly has dedicated over 2 decades into helping businesses and nonprofits grow their brand, build customer relationships, and increase website and foot traffic through traditional, social, and digital media. Specializing in adult education, Carly enjoys connecting Kutztown University Small Business Development Center clients with the best resources to launch their business's marketing strategy and increase their business's success. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Carly. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Adam. I am thrilled as always to be back presenting with Chester and Delaware County SCORE. I was so very fortunate to have partnered with them in the past when I was a Kutztown University Small Business Development Center consultant for several years. So I'm always happy to be back and connecting and supporting small business owners and people who are opening up their nonprofits as well. So our presentation today is the very first one I have ever done on Canva, but I am not a stranger to Canva. I have been creating graphics both for digital and print media for 10 years since its inception in 2013. So what I'm doing for you is kind of saving you the 10 years it took me to learn all the ins and outs of how to really create captivating graphics, which is kind of why my subtitle is to really help you start posting with confidence. So who am I? Unbelievably, I have been doing marketing for 25 years. I have worked and helped grow marketing strategies for both small businesses, nonprofits, and corporations in regards to increasing sales, event attendances, donations, etc. I've got my degree in psychology, so everything I do is grounded in that because it really is all about building trust and relationships. And that can actually be conveyed through the graphic designs that you create. And finally, I'm a consumer behavioral textbook author. And that is something also that I use when I do my graphic designs. Really, when people see the graphic designs that you create, how do you want them to respond behaviorally? So where you place your elements, what colors you use, and a lot of other different variables are all really important things that should be well thought out when you're doing your graphic design. As Adam said, I'm a part-time marketing consultant, but full-time, I actually work with an international research journal company, and I am a content creator for them. So I get to try all sorts of different new things when it comes to graphic design creation. But now I would very much like to get to know a little bit more about you and really make sure that the webinar that I'm doing today, you're going to come away with something that you were hoping to learn. First question, I would love to find out if you can put this in the chat box. Have you ever used Canva? And also, I'd be curious if you have used Canva, have you done the free where you're just kind of dipping your toes in the water? Have you decided to use the premium, which I'll talk about a little bit later? So please put in the chat box, have you ever used Canva? Yes or no? And Adam, if you don't mind, let me know what those responses are. That'd be wonderful.
Okay, we got a yes free, we got a yes pro user, we've got a never used. So it looks like we're spanning the spectrum here. We got
Okay,
another
great.
no. We've got an I love Canva, have a
Ah,
premium account, but haven't used it for social media.
okay, those are all phenomenal responses. I do want to let everybody know the presentation that I have is kind of mainly for beginners, but I do try to cover a lot of different elements that hopefully for those of you who have used it a lot will also get something out of it, particularly at the end of the presentation. Now, I know some of you who have used Canva, maybe you're also using another platform, or if you have not used Canva, again, maybe you're using some sort of alternate graphic design. And just like I heard in the chat box, there's definitely a difference between, again, designing print media. There's a difference behind designing graphics you would create for your website, right? And a difference between graphics that you're going to create specifically for social media. So for this particular presentation, I want to know, have you ever designed a social media graphic, whether it is in Canva or not in Canva? And if you want to say, oh, yes, I designed a social media graphic in Canva, go ahead. Or if you've used Adobe, great, or another kind of platform, it's really great to share with all of us in general what we're currently using. So feel free to put that in the chat box.
Okay, I've got a yes, a never, a no, new to social media, interested in Pinterest posts also. Another no.
Okay. Okay, great. So far it seems perhaps no. I know when I was starting out with graphic design for nonprofits, I started off mainly with print, and then gradually we moved over to that social media graphic design portion. All right, last question. Name one or two things that you were hoping to learn today. And then again, you can put in the chat box. If we have time, I'll do my best to address your question. If not, you can always reach out to me after the presentation. And if you can't remember something now, I will have breaks for questions after every couple slides and demos that I'm doing. Any ideas yet, Adam?
Okay, nothing to, oh, here we go. How to create an eye-catching, interesting post.
Hmm.
Canva has lots of capabilities. Looking for easiest ways to start designing for social media.
Okay. Great. And that's what I love about Canva. Out of the different platforms that I've used, it's definitely, I feel, to be the most friendly user interface. And in regards to eye-catching graphics, we'll touch about that briefly at the beginning of this presentation. Great. So key takeaways that we're going to do today, and I did design this presentation within Canva, and we're going to be keeping with our friends, the dogs, here for a reason. So what we're going to cover the basics of graphic design. Then we're going to go into specifically platform with Canva editing and resizing, what kinds of Canva templates are available, how do you use some of the different elements, because there's so many wonderful options that Canva has as options. And then we're going to go into very specific social media post types. You're going to get a basic graphic design background, then you're going to get more general Canva platform info from me. Then we're going to go specifically into profile photos, cover photos, social media posts, and animated posts. So I'm going to give you like 1 or 2 slides. We're going to do a brief demo. So for those of you who have not ever seen Canva, you can really see what the interface is like. And then I want to take a brief break because it's a lot to process for any questions that you may potentially have. And if I don't have the answer to that question, again, at the end of my presentation, I have my email there that you can feel free to message me. Okay, so going back to one of you who talked about how do you create an eye-catching design on social media. And that's kind of in one of my positions, what I was really well known for was creating graphic design posts that were going to go viral. And what I have here as one of the perfect examples for a viral social media post is the dog influencer from Instagram. It is Doug the Pug. And so one of the first and most important things that you need to know for social media graphic design before you start designing is knowing your audience. So doing research on your competitors, right? And finding out what their audience members are engaging with, right? And seeing how you can maybe closely mimic that, but in your own brand style, seeing where your audience is already at on the different social media platforms and what they're engaging with. What are they resharing? What are they liking or commenting? And take a look at that graphic design. And what are some elements of that do you think that perhaps they're responding to? Secondly, telling an emotional story through the image that you create. How are you telling a story that makes your audience feel something, right? Think about when you are on social media. You're more likely to share something that may surprise you, make you feel happy, make you feel like you're sharing important knowledge that you want your family and friends to know about, something that makes you feel sad. So take a look at Doug the Pug here, right? Look at his face looking longingly at that big pizza pie. This is a really perfect image. To choose to evoke the emotional story. Next, you want to design to capture attention specifically for the individual platform that you're on. So that's why later on the presentation, it's so super important that you have your images properly signed for whatever platform post that you are. Now, typically, what goes across the board, no matter what platform you're on, is a square image that you see here on Instagram. But Canva is really great for kind of helping, guiding you and ensuring that not just a graphic design that you're going to create, but even your photos. So let's say you've taken some photos, right? And you have photo, for example, Doug the Pug here, which is maybe you took it on your phone, right? And it's vertical because you took it on mobile. You can upload that photo onto Canva, insert it in a photo frame that's a square, and crop it, right? So Doug the Pug's face is the center focal point of that photo. So photos that you may see on Instagram may actually have been edited and centered by using Canva as a photo editing tool. You also want to capitalize on trends, right? Which is one of the reasons why the theme of my presentation is dogs. So taking a look at what are people already talking about on social media that makes sense and fits with your brand that you can create a graphic design on. And lastly, you want to keep your eye on your end goal. If you take a look at Doug the Pug, his end goal is definitely the pizza pie. But when you create something, really think about, what do you want to do? What are your business and or social media goals? Do you want this to be shared, X number of times? Do you want to have a specific call to action that's going to say convert them to sign up for your email newsletter? Always make sure that you are designing with intentionality. So now we're going to talk about some social media design principles in general. So understanding what's called visual hierarchy. I absolutely encourage you to write that term down, design visual hierarchy, and do a keyword search on that on Google. And what that is simplistically is when you are looking at a graphic design image on social media or a flyer, right? Where is your eye drawn first? Some of the mistakes when I would be at the SBDC and consulting with my clients is that sometimes they wouldn't use the templates that Canva graphic designers had already created. They would make their own. And what would happen is like their photos, their elements, their text, everything was the same size. And what happens then is if everything's the same size is that your consumer doesn't know what the most important piece of information is. Where should their eye look at first? So even if you take a look at this slide, for example, where does your eye go first? So it should hopefully go to my headline of social media design tips. Then maybe you're going and reading straight down with my bullet points, and then your eye is tracking over to the right with the dog image, or vice versa. The headline first, then the dog, and then your eye is going over to the left. So that's really important. And that's why, even though I've been designing for 10 years on Canva, if they have a design created by one of their designers that I can adapt and adopt for my brand, I'm going to use that one over something that I create because it's going to save me time. And I know their designers understand visual hierarchy principles. Canva has color contrast checkers because if you cannot read your important call to action text on your background, if it blurs and blends in, then all that effort you've made for that graphic design is not going to resonate with your viewer. You want to make sure that you can easily read that text. And that also comes from a accessibility standpoint as well too. You want to make sure that the designs you're creating are accessible for all of your customers. Making sure that you stick to your brand. So do you have 3 to 5 brand colors? Making sure that you stick to that. Do you have a certain personality for your brand that you want to evoke in your design? Making sure that that is coming out and consistent with your design. So not only overall with your design that it's consistent, but that you're using the same type of font perhaps, because a font is considered to be an element. Strategically placing your logo. So you don't want to have your logo really massive and dwarfing out all the other important information that you want on your graphic design. Also, your logo doesn't have to be on every single graphic design that you do, but you know, if you want people to share, you want people to make sure that they know it's your company. So if your logo is on, you want to make sure if you put it smaller that it's readable. So that's why I recommend with logos that you have it in a variety of different formats and just an icon as well too. Or if the logo takes up too much space, you can still kind of brand it if you have your website on, for example. Making sure that you're integrating call to action elements, but they don't have to be on every single post. So not every social media post should be calling them to that convert stage of your funnel. You don't want to overuse text and elements. You want to make sure that you have enough what's called white space. And white space is another term when it comes to graphic design that I encourage you to Google and research. You want to make sure you have quality stock photos. And that's why I love Canva, because of the excellent access you have to all sorts of different stock photos. Because if you're sourcing them from a different site, customers can really tell when it's poor quality. And like we said with Doug with the Pug, making sure that you have one main focal point that you're drawing their eye to. Now, I know some of you when it comes to Canva basics. Some of you have not done Canva, some of you are on free, and some of you have the premium. So I love Canva because I can design on my desktop, I can design on my mobile phone. I started off free when I first started with Canva, but what happens is you can download then photos or elements on the free level, and typically they're around $1. However, you may end up wanting to tweak that design. So then if you have to download it again, it's an additional dollar. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I really love 3 elements. And before you know it's at $3. So for me, from an economic standpoint, for my business, it makes sense for me to have the Canva Pro because you have access to so many more different elements. The premium content includes graphics, photos, and videos and audio, although there's free portions of those as well. I love the Canva brand kit because it's one central place where I can access my colors, my logo, and my fonts, which is really important. And then I can also use Canva for Teams, and I've used Canva for literally every single full-time organization I'm with. And I also use that in my consulting business, and I work with Canva for Teams with my apprentice. And then you can create a lot of really great, valuable content on Canva that you would have no idea has not been created in Adobe. So now we're going to go into some of the more specific aspects of Canva. And as we progress through this part of the webinar, you'll see a lot of text. And this webinar, you will get the whole slide deck. And I want you to use this as a referral guide and a tool. So we can get to some of the demo parts later on the presentation. I'm not going to go through and read off everything that I have in the bullet point. This is more of like a resource guide for you. But what I love about Canva is its capacity to edit photos and resize. So with this presentation in Canva, if you look at the photo on the right with my golden retriever friend here, I always have a couple thoughts. And if you take a look, you can see the purple border outline around the photo of the golden retriever. And that's how you know that you have properly selected an element, whether it's a photo, another type of element on Canva. You can upload your own photos. So if you've taken a photo of a customer that you've gotten permission of, or you're taking a product photo, or if you found a stock photo from another site, you can upload those or add them on your photo tab, again, across the devices. And then images can be used as standalone. So, I could just drop a photo right onto this image that you're seeing on the right. Or I can add what's called a photo frame, where you have so many options of photo frames, from squares to circles to letter photo frames, that I just insert a photo into that. With what you're seeing in this purple border, you can see on the top, there's this white oval where you see a small square with a plus sign, where I could duplicate and have a couple of my golden retriever friends. I can delete it and start all over. And with that 3-dot bar on the right, that's where you can click or tap on that, and we'll bring all the options that you're seeing on the bottom left-hand portion there. And then what I love the best about photos is all the different photo effects that you can do, particularly background remover. So if I would have found a stock photo on Canva that would have had my golden retriever friend against a grassy backyard, I can use background remover, remove that grass, and then all I would have him is just staring at me in front of. And that's one of the main reasons why I have Canva Premium, is to use that capacity. Now, Canva element editing and resizing. So now if you take a look at the right at our golden retriever friend again, you're still seeing the purple border. That is a square surrounding the dog, but this time I'm showing you a element that's called a square. And this is one of the most versatile elements that you can use, because if you take a look at the two rectangles in the center on each side of the square, I can drag that out horizontally. I can drag it up from the top and the back. And I can also decrease the transparency and make this blurry and fade into the background. Or I could, move it forward and completely cover our golden retriever friend here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use elements. And I know in the previous slide, we talked about photos, video, and audio, but other really great elements that Canva has is charts and tables, which you may perhaps not use as much unless, say, you're wanting to share something on LinkedIn or, say, a Pinterest infographic, the frames that I talked to you about, and grids. So some of the many different social media post platform options that you have with Canva, and this is just a tiny selection of Canva has to offer that is already sized for you. Now, we're not going to cover these specific ones later on in the presentation, but I just wanted to show you the variety. You have YouTube thumbnails, Pinterest pins, WhatsApp statuses, Facebook shop cover photos, Snapchat ads that are static versus video, LinkedIn carousel ads, TikTok videos, and Reddit posts. So wherever your business is at on social media, Canva has templates already for you to adapt for your business. So the first social media topic we're going to talk about today is going to be the social media profile photos. And what you have right here in the upper left-hand corner in the circle is our husky friend. And our husky friend is a really great example of how to do a social media profile photo well. The first and most important thing you need to remember about social media profile photos is that you're meeting the platform dimensions. There's no cluttered background. Any text that you have is readable, although I prefer not to have text in profile photos. And keeping in mind with certain social media platforms, right, that when you are commenting as your business on other people's posts, this profile photo follows you along when you comment, even if they're not on your social media page. So it's a really important representation of who your business is as a brand. Now, again, I have created this webinar presentation as a resource guide for you. So this is just a showing of just a half dozen, right, of the different social media profile dimensions that you should keep in mind. And I can tell you 9 times out of 10 with the small business owners I've consulted, have had no idea the profile photos even exist. And it makes you look so much more professional, because when it comes to both your profile photo and what we're going to talk about in a few minutes, your cover photos and banners, just like your website, your customer has 10 seconds to make a good impression, of who you are as a brand with your cover photo and profile photo there, even before they scroll further. So they're assessing your brand through your profile photo and your cover banner. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and we're going to do a demo. So just bear with me 1 minute. So we are going to go into the Canva interface, and I'm going to show you what I have done with a LinkedIn profile photo. So if you take a look at the left, you can see that design is highlighted, and these are all the templates that you can choose from. And you can click on any one of these, and then they will populate in the square here. And with profile photos, I would definitely recommend going with the template. Less is more. If you take a look at this, if I go into delete, if I delete image, So some of you may be wondering, what in the world does she mean by a photo frame? This is a photo frame. And so then I could say hypothetically, go into photos here, and I could pick any of these photos right here and drag her right in there, and you have a brand new photo. So I highly recommend using photo frames. Now, if you scroll down, you can see what I've done with our Dalmatian friend. And just to show you again, all the different varieties of what you can do with Canva. And here you see there's an element here. So I wanted to show you that real quick. I can click on the color. I can pick all the colors. I can use my brand kit if I want and convert everything. So the templates that you're seeing here, you want to make sure that you're converting it to your brand colors then. I can flip this. I can animate it, which we'll go into a little bit later. I can crop it, and then I can position it. So I can align it, or I can bring it to the front or the back of the dog. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to my presentation. Do we have any questions about the profile photo? Because I know we have about 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I get to the other 3 types of posts. Any questions about social media profile photos?
Hey, I don't have any questions at the moment, so please fire away if you have questions for Carly.
And that's okay. Again, I'm going to tell you, we're going to have a break after each demo. So if you have a question about the profile photos, I can always go back into them. If we don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and move into the banners. So again, in the upper hand left, this is a very basic representation of a banner. You can see you got a main focal point of the dogs here in the middle. Again, making sure that you're meeting the social media platform dimensions. And I highly encourage that even when you're using the Canva social media dimensions, particularly on Facebook, that you're taking a look at how your banner looks once you upload it as your Facebook cover photo, that you're seeing, how does that look on my desktop? And how does that look like on my mobile phone? You want to make sure that no important elements or call to actions are cut off. Again, making sure that your cover photo, from colors to design, complements your profile photo. You want to make sure, again, there's enough contrast between your text and colors. Cover photos, ideas for social media. You can make themes based on upcoming events you may have, certain holidays or awareness days, sales or donation drives that you're having. And you could, I would recommend, change that monthly or quarterly, but not too often, because you want to avoid customer confusion, especially if you're a brand new company and a brand new brand. But I do definitely encourage that you leverage your cover photos, because they are prime real estate space. Again, even if they don't scroll down to see the rest of your posts, that is their first impression, and you want to make sure that you're using it wisely. You can also do like a photo collage layout for your cover photos, or even a quote. Again, Canva has cover photos, and not every social media platform, as you see, like TikTok, has a cover photo, or Instagram. So you want to make sure with each platform that you're designing everything that you can, that you don't even have like a blank cover photo, because I've seen some of my clients doing that as well. Even on your LinkedIn, your professional individual profile on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you're designing that as well too. So let's take a look at what the cover photos look like. So we're going to go over here. So again, look at the dog theme. So there's so many different designs you can take a look at, and I'm going to show you. So you can do one of two things. If you click on design on the upper left-hand corner, you can just drag the gray slider bar down and take a look. Or what you can do is, I could say, take a look at Valentine's Day. And right away, you'll see designs that come up if you're going to have like a Valentine's Day promotion. Or I could even take a look at sale. And you can do this with any cover photo. And right away, but again, take a look at the templates. Which one is going to best represent your brand, right? Or what you can also do is take a look at events. So conferences. So even though this says conference, if it's another kind of event that you're having, you can adapt anything. And again, I'll do a quick example of, say, real estate. In terms of, you can do industry specific searches on Canva as well. You know, are you doing a blood drive? Are you a doctor? Are you a consultant? You can do searches for any kind of social media post, and then you'll be coming up with a whole lot of different choices. Again, just as with the social media profile, you can click on your text. So I could say, highlight that, go into the font. And if my brand is Open Sans, which is one of my preferred brands, I could go and customize that to my brand font. So I'm going to bold that, and I see up, that's going 2 lines. And so you can do one of two things. I can go into spacing, and I can decrease that spacing so it's closer together. And then I can drag that up here. And then I can be like, oh, this element here is kind of overlapping behind the pets. So I'm just going to decrease that. So see how I'm using the handles to drag that over to the left. Or I can stretch it right back up and have pet shop all on one line. So any element here on Canva is movable. I could take the dog again, and I could flip him to be looking like the circle is a ball in that direction. I can change the discount if I'm having a sale that is a different percentage. And again, I can go in and I can change any of the colors. Another thing that people don't realize is you can actually have, let me see if I can actually stratify this. Your social media cover photos and banners can actually be images. And as we know, when it comes to social media, videos are higher attention grabbers than static images. But you can also then animate any of these images. Again, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes too. So again, you could have a static template and you can make it into a video then. And then what you would do once you animate that is when you download it, you would download it as an MP4 video. So there's a lot of options also in terms of how you're downloading your photos. I definitely recommend downloading your social media posts. If we go into this one more time, as a PNG versus a JPG. All right, so we're going to go back into our presentation. Do we have any questions about social media cover banners?
No questions right now, so folks, please feel free to type away in the question answer box if you have questions regarding.
Sure. So now we're going to go into social media posts. And of course, I have that represented as a square. Again, most of your social media posts are going to be square. When it comes to Twitter, you can use more of a horizontal or a square. Again, Canva has all those dimensions set for you, and we will take a look at that. You can choose when it comes to posts, you can stratify those designs by color, style, theme, and subject and topic, as I showed you previously in the cover photo. So I have this again as a referral guide for you. So if you're like, oh gosh, I forgot what Carly said I could search, my designs as, I have them all down here for you. Holiday, event, sale, quote, and industry specific templates. Aside from the background remover, the other big plus of getting the Canva Pro is the magic resize. So if you've created a really great graphic that you like, that's a square, but you want to experiment with that graphic and make it into a Twitter post, right? So going from an Instagram post to a Twitter post, you can use something called magic resize. You'll just have to shift the elements a little bit, but it will save you time from if you have the free and you would have to start that completely from scratch. So I'll show you how to do that in our demo. So 1 minute and let me go ahead and switch screens. And again, here I have all the dimensions for the templates. And again, you'll be getting this slide deck so you can refer to these different dimensions. And I also want to show you really quickly what that looks like as well. So here we are with some examples with social media posts. Customer quote testimonials are super important. And you can even, again, go straight into doing a search for quote, hitting enter, and you have a whole bunch of different quote templates that you can design. If I click on this sliding bar that I referred to in my presentation, and my brand, let's say, is red, I can click on red, and I'm going to come up with quotes that are specifically read to my brand. And again, you can tweak it further to your specific, what's called a hex code for your color. So let's take a look at, because I like to do before and after. So what does a post look like, with what Canva has given me? And it look like after, say, for a brand. So here's a before. And again, I only made minor changes. And then here's an after again. You see, I went into the text, I revised it a little bit, I updated it with the dog photo. And if I take a look at the color, again, I can go in, I can go to the brand template. Looks like that is not a photo frame. So and what I love about Canva, and I encourage you to not be afraid to touch anything on Canva. I got my little undo here arrow right next to the resize, and I can completely redo that. And sometimes with templates, you do have to click on it to see what kind of element am I working with, to make sure that you're changing the colors and the photo properly. But what I wanted to show you is this magic resize, which is right here next to file. And so with this being most likely, so if I go into file here to the left, you can see that this is a social media post. It's a 1080 by 1080 pixel. So Canva has their posts done in pixel dimensions or inch dimensions. And when you click file, if you forget what you selected, it'll tell you right here what post that you created. You can also save at any point too, but rest assured Canva always does an auto save, or you can go into version history, because if the undo button doesn't work, which it usually typically does, you can go back into your version history and revert back to an old design. But let's look at resize. So if I hit resize And let's say I want to make this into a Twitter quote. So I'm going to go into Twitter. And as you can see, how many designs that Canva has, I could convert this quote into a Twitter ad. And I'm just going to highlight so you can see the different dimensions here. A Twitter header, a Twitter post, a Twitter video. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick Twitter post. Now I can do one of two things. If I hit resize, this will change the design that you're seeing right now. And then I will no longer be able to use it as an Instagram. I could resize it right back to Instagram if I made a mistake. But if you just click resize, it's going to change the design you're currently working on. So what I like to do is click copy and resize. And so now you see that it is more of a horizontal. And if I go into file, you'll see that it now says Twitter post, and it'll give you the new dimensions of 1600 by 900. And then what you have to do is just stretch your elements. So you can drag this back and forth with your text, and I can center it. And then you would drag all the stars and you would center that as well. I want to go back to the Instagram just to show you a couple more choices of some befores and afters of these quote testimonials. So here's the before. And then here's the after. Again, it's a matter of either going into your uploads, if you've uploaded a photo, dragging it in, or again, you can scroll down, you can go into photos, and anything that you're interested. Again, you can do industry specific for photos, holidays. So I'm going to put in dog. I'm going to hit enter. And you can see you've got die cut dogs, which means there is no background already. So I could even add my little corgi friend here at the bottom, right? And you can make them whatever size that you want. We'll take a look at just a couple more before and after. Again, you can change whatever color. I could even change the heart there to a thumbs up if I wanted to. So you can go into elements. So if we go back up, I want to quickly show you some of the different elements that you can use. So you can add graphics and stickers. They're typically the same for graphics and stickers. And they'll stratify those even further. There's collections. So sometimes if you are in a template and you're like, oh, wow, I really like that photo. If I click on more, sometimes it'll, show me some more information about that element. Let me see if that'll show me here, right here. So I can see up lavender skincare products. So if you really like a photo but want something a bit similar, what I love about clicking on the photos and elements, it'll give you some of those keywords that you can use to then search for similar graphics. Or even I can click, you know what, I want to see more like this. And look at what it gives you then. So you have slightly different choices. One of my favorite secrets of Canva is the eye icon info and the see more. So think about if you have any questions about social media posts, because I know we have about maybe 5 minutes or so to just briefly cover the animated video portion. Any questions about social media posts?
We just have a comment saying, great to know about the resize tool.
Yes, it saves so much time. And that goes from, you could take a social media post and resize it, copy and resize that for a print flyer too. So it's very versatile. It's not, you can only resize to another social media. You can resize that to a business card if you want. All right, spare with me 1 minute. Let's talk about videos. And sometimes when you think of videos, you're thinking like, oh, those 10-second to 1 minute long videos that you see on social media. But an animated video on Canva can be just as simple as what you're seeing on the bottom right-hand corner of these dogs kicking a ball back and forth. Even just making an element that it's a graphic animated or your text animated. You can download it as an MP4 video on Canva that I showed you earlier, and that constitutes a video. So anytime your customer, when they're scrolling through the feed, if they see an element moving in a video, they're going to be more likely to stop because that is a video. And overall, the social media platforms are going to give your video post a higher preference in their algorithms because they prefer videos. Keeping in mind, some animated videos are Canva Pro, some aren't. You can search for specific animated elements. So you can look for graphic design elements like the dog that are animated, or you have more photographic videos that have elements. And so we are going to go ahead and take a look at what an animated video looks like. In fact, Canva just 2 days ago shared a really quick 1-minute video that I want to show you of how they actually removed background from a dog that was running around and made it into a really great TikTok video. So take a look. So there you see the dog. And you see how he was able to remove the background from the dog and then substitute another background. It is absolutely, truly amazing what Canva can do. I'm just going to show that one more time. And this is on Canva's Facebook page if you want to revisit to see how they did that and kind of pause it. So there's so many different design options that they have for you. So let's take a look at the animated video demo, and I'm going to show you the finished product first. So I'm going to hit play here. And so if you take a look at what you're seeing right now, this is why I call it animated video, because it's doing 3 things here. I'm going to play it again just so you can take a look at it. So you're seeing a couple different things moving, right? You're seeing the elements and the corners moving. I'm going to play it again. You're seeing the text moving. And you're also seeing the die cut photo of the dog and the girl here moving and coming in. And again, I did not create this. This is a Canva animated template that is available for you to use. If you take a look, you can time everything out. It's a total of 3 pages, but you can do much longer videos. If I click on the element and I click on animate and I scroll down, you can see all the different ways that you can change the video. When you are first starting with Canva, I definitely encourage you that less is more and that you use templates that Canva already has for you. Even with myself doing this for 10 years, I would much rather go with a video that another Canva graphic designer has already created with a template, and I would just rather simply change this to my brand colors and my brand text, because otherwise you have to be really careful that you're not overwhelming your customer by creating too many moving elements. What you see here in the file is you see this is called an animated social media graphic, right? So that's how I know that I will have, if I scroll down, all sorts of different video choices. You can do the same searches I talked to you about before in terms of quotes, industry, holiday, or sale. You could also resize this if you're like, oh, I really like this template design, but I actually needed this as a Twitter video. again, I can go into Twitter and I can convert it to a Twitter video. Again, a really great time saver. Also, if I go down into photos, and if I do a search for dog, click enter. Now, ideally, that should bring up some video options, but it may only let me do that in the element option tab here on the left. So, right, so if you go into the second icon down, which is elements, you do a keyword search for dog, you see this arrow here. I can keep toggling to get the type of graphic I want. I click videos and I can create a whole bunch of different videos. Again, video is something I encourage you to experiment with once you've mastered the other three first. So I'm going to go back into my presentation because I know we have a few minutes left. Any questions about videos? Again, this is why I have pretty much everything that I talked about on the slides because I know it's a lot to digest. I have, again, all the different video templates that you would be looking for dimensions. So think about, and I know we have a couple minutes and you don't have to put it in the chat box because I know we're ending soon, but think about one takeaway that you learned from today. Any other questions that you may have about the video or in general, feel free to ask me now. And again, in the slide deck, you'll get my contact information. You can reach me via email or send me a message on LinkedIn. But I want to thank you so much for really taking the first step to knowing more about Canva. As you get used to it, it becomes so much easier, and it is indeed the easiest tool that you can find. Again, I hope you came away with something that you didn't know about today.
So we got a couple comments here, Carly. Some of the tools I haven't used are fantastic. Thanks for the demo.
Good.
I'm so appreciative of your advising of the social media profile photo frame. Thank you for all the valuable information this evening.
Great. And I know a lot of those demos that I did, like the profile photo, cover photo, post template, those could all be a presentation in itself, but I just wanted to give you a taste for what each of those were about.
Okay. I'd like to thank Carly for her presentation today. Lots of great information shared, and you'll be getting the video and the slide deck in your email, so look out for that. For anyone who's interested in requesting a mentoring session from SCORE, you can contact us at our website here or call our phone number, and you will be you can request a mentor. If you go to our website, you can search our directory of mentors and pick someone out by looking at their profiles. Or again, you can just email or call, and our office assistant will help you locate the mentor who has expertise and can best back with your specific needs. Before you go, I would appreciate if you could fill out the poll. I'm about to launch here. And thank you. Thank you, Carly. Thank you to all our attendees, and we hope you got great value out of tonight's session.